start off, could you just, state your name and, you know,
Yeah.
what business you own in the Lloyd Center?
What's up? This is Troy Douglas, owner of Cultural Blends, the bright spot in the corner here at Lloyd Center.
Yeah. So just to start off, can you just talk about what Lloyd Center means to you?
Lloyd Center to me is like a childhood landmark. Obviously, growing up out in the suburbs, coming to Lloyd Center was a really big deal because this was the coolest mall. So I have a ton of childhood memories of just, even my parents dropping me off here at some points, and just all the landmarks that were inside here, from the movie theater to Tilt to the McDonald's in the corner. Just like there is, it's a place where it's like, it reminds me of good times, right? Lloyd Center is a place to connect with old folks, people that you may have known in the past, things of that nature. It's a place that every person that has grown up here has good memories with, because it was just that place for whatever reason. We had ice skating rink, Joe Brown's caramel corn. We got candy before we went ice skating as kids. Honey baked ham was right over there. There used to be like a honey baked restaurant. Like, it's just memories. It's good memories. That's what it is. It's Portland landmark. It's an icon. That's what it is.
Yeah. So when did you become a tenant, and how has the mall changed since then?
So an official tenant was February 23rd, 2018. I remember that because it was Black Friday, the day that we opened up. We opened, I was subleasing in a spot in like 2014 and 2015 downstairs. So I had, before we officially became a tenant, there was a space downstairs where I rented a small section of a store from a tenant back in 2014 and 15. So I've had a good view of the change of Lloyd Center. And even back then in 2014 and 2015, Nordstrom was still around, but there was talks of them closing. They eventually did close, I think in 2015 or 2016. So I've seen where the Chic is right over here used to be a Disney store, and then also Eddie Bauer. And some of our store fixtures inside that store came from the Eddie Bauer right over here. And I've seen it change quite a bit, because Chic used to be downstairs. But yeah, I've seen quite a bit in the last, what is that now? Since 2014, that's 8 years. So I've seen quite a bit.
Man, you're bringing me back. I had forgotten about the Disney store.
Yeah, the Disney store. Yeah, that's right. Disney store, and then Eddie Bauer. And I wheeled that Eddie Bauer all the way over here, and then down the stairs where that original store was downstairs. And then, some of those pictures came back up and moved their way back into Cultural Blends. So it's, it's funny how that goes.
And so, offline, we were kind of talking a little bit about, Free Shop Friday and just the vibe there. But can you just talk about the community you've built since becoming a tenant at Lloyd Center?
Yeah, it wasn't always easy because, we were new. We were new inside the mall, so a lot of people, and we were still like finding our identity too, right? As a store, it just started off as a headquarter for my clothing brand, and then it kind of evolved into a buy-sell trade, right? And so that evolutionary process didn't happen overnight. It kind of happened by being there present in the shop every day and just seeing what was, who was interested in the shop, who was walking in, who wasn't walking in, but who was looking in. So you were just, we were gathering a bunch of metrics and, just being there. And when I say we, it was just me. It was just me. It was just me at that time. And yeah, it just took being there every day to build the community. And I think one of our advantages is really having genuine interactions with people, getting to know people, getting to know their name, like, hey, Bruce, remembering what they do, asking them what they do or how their day is going, and really connecting, right? That's the piece that I would say from my observation in the buy sell trade world, that's the piece that is missing, right? It's very transactional: buy low, sell for high, and don't give a fuck about the person in between. And that's not where I come from. Where I come from is like, treat the customer right, know who this person is, like really, like, don't give your soul, but share your soul. Like, I share my story, I want to know about you. And then that's like the human connection, right? Culture Blends was about bringing people together. So that's where, you know, we come from. So I brought that into this like buy sell trade with vintage and sneakers. And if we have any success, it's mostly because of that, because it's not like we came out the gate with like the best shoes. You know, we came out with a lot of pre-owned shoes because, you know, people were consigning, and that's all we could afford was to consign stuff, and it was like lower end stuff. And I think even too, just people that have seen the shop grow and its evolution, that's inspiring. And when you can inspire somebody, you know, you're sharing that light. And when you do that, that's how you build like people. That's like community, because they want to like be a part of that, or they want to you know, they want to align themselves with like, shit, I've watched this person go from like, you know, next to nothing to something better. Like I can do that in myself. So in doing that, that's also building community besides, you know, your genuine connections. But most of it's just being present every day and treating people right. You do that, you're gonna grow, right?
Obviously, the conversation about what is needed to revitalize the mall is a big topic right now. I remember being just back in there in December, I was up at the food court, right? And, you know, again, kind of similar to you, like I have, you know, memories back of like when the tilt was up there, back when, you know, I had babysitters who would take me to, you know, back when it was a Panda Express up there, which is decades ago, you know. And so to see it, you know, with all these, with like 3, you know, restaurants open was kind of like wild to me. But on the flip side, I guess, you know, there's that opportunity, right? For like, so what's next? So with that in mind, what changes would you like to see to revitalize the mall?
I would say in the short term, I would like to see more locally owned businesses, you know, and it'd be really nice to do some businesses of color. I know a gentleman down on this end of the mall. He opened up, or he is in the process of opening up like his screen printing shop inside the mall, black owned business. He just came in and introduced himself yesterday. So it would be really nice to see some. It'd be really nice to see some operators, and it doesn't matter who they are, but it'd be nice to see some brave operators, small businesses come in and take up some of these empty spaces. Because that's how we got in. We got in under that Lloyd local program, and that's how they were spinning it. But I do believe that, you know, what Lloyd needs a lot is a narrative change. You know, exactly what you're doing, right? Is changing the narrative, because there's a lot of talks about when's the mall closing. That's all we get people asking that. Like, the mall's still closing, right? I'm like, nah, it's not. You know, and you know, with all that talk of foreclosure, if there were, you know, 4 to 6 locally owned stores that were in here, and shit, like stores of color, that would be quite a bit. Like, that would apply pressure to not only, you know, maybe the press, to the local press, to write about it and write about, you know, a new narrative of locally owned businesses save Lloyd Center or something of that nature. But I would like to see that in the long term. That's a really difficult one. I'm not sure. I can only see the short term, next 2 years. What it looks like long term, man, I don't know, but I know that retail isn't dead here. Our shop has only grown, so I don't know. It's hard to say for me.
Yeah. So speaking of, you know, that news around officially that it's not, you know, the mall is not closing. You know, there's a big release about, hey, there's new ownership. So to that end, what questions do you have for the new ownership group?
My question, I guess, for them is just, what does the short-term plan look like? And you know, what what are the options as far as growth, like in the next even 5 to 10 years? What is it? What are the possible, like, avenues that could happen? Because they're not in a position where they tell us these type of things, right? It just doesn't make sense unless retail was a big part of the plan. So I would just like some clarity, any more clarity, and I don't need to know like what exactly is happening long term. If they're unclear about that, that's fine. I get it. We're still in a pandemic. Bringing in the big venues like Live Nation and stuff, it makes no sense, right? I understand it from a business end, like, why would you dump this money into, potentially like a hazardous climate, right? That doesn't make any sense. But I would like to know what's the plan for the fucking revitalization in the next couple years, because security and beefing up security isn't necessarily it's a part of it, but what is the offensive growth, not the defensive growth? And I would just like to know that, because that would be a good step.
Right, right. So yeah, is there anything else you'd like to share, whether it be the ownership or for the many people who still come through Lloyd Center, still shop, still partake in the space?
Lloyd Center has always kind of been like a communal place, so it'd be really nice to see some true people of the community open up stores here. The vibe has changed significantly at Lloyd Center, and for the better. There's less stores, but in 2019, the vibe was different. It was darker. People had like I'll tell you exactly why. There was still Lloyd Center management, right? Lloyd Center in itself, and also the customer base. We were still holding on to the idea of what Lloyd Center was, right? And so seeing it starting to really crumble, that was tough. And from when that was happening, a lot of the looters and thieves, like petty thieves, they were really coming around and really trying, the stores, right? Even like the small stores like us, we had to be on the lookout. But the mall has changed. It has like a lot brighter energy. It has a lot more like life to it, even though that stores have closed down. We've with the pandemic and stuff, we've become past the notion of Lloyd Center from the past, right? And it's just like we just want to know what's going to happen in the future, and that's it. The vibe is like, okay, Lloyd Center is not going to be what it is, but at least I'm here. At least it's here, right? In 2019, it was just like, what the fuck is going on? And people were on edge. When I walked into into Lloyd Center, thinking about opening up a shop, like I was just watching how people would interact with each other, and people were a little bit more frigid and more tight. But I don't know, man. I can just sense it in the people. I've got a good floater in the lane. I got good feel for things of this nature, and people are just they're more willing to I don't know, more willing to communicate with each other and stuff. And I'm not sure if that's driven by the pandemic, but downtown isn't what it used to be. So inside Lloyd Center, like, looks just fine. If you want to make a comparison, like you go downtown, it looks not very good. You go inside Lloyd Center, it's like, yeah, there's some closed stores, but it's manageable. I don't know. But yeah, that's just the truth.
Yeah, Troy, thank you again for taking the time, and yeah, all the best and continued success.